Hello again, and welcome to yet another Rome Total War multiplayer Total War month replay. What would you ever like to call it? And this time it's another 1v1 with me as a Seleucid fighting off some Thracians. Now this was a battle I hosted, and when I host battles I don't really like to put rules on, so any unit was allowed. The only rule was no cheese spam. So as you can see, I was actually bringing artillery to this fight. But before we talk about artillery and stuff, let's just quickly go through the build. So, my army had a front line of 6 Silver Shield Legionnaires. Funds were quite generous in this battle, by the way. I had Silver Shield Phalanxes backing them up, and a line of Phalanx Pikes defending the onager from any potential cavalry strikes. Not that I was really expecting cavalry from Thrace, because, well, Thrace doesn't really do cavalry very well. Guarding the flanks, I have 4 units of Silver Shield Pikes, and then in my back I have my cavalry. I brought some militia cavalry to skirmish around the flanks, and then some Greek cavalry, just as light attacking cavalry, mainly just for chasing down skirmishers and chasing down people who are routing. Then I've got my general's armoured bodyguard and 3 units of cataphracts. So I've pretty much gone all out on the money this time around. I spent every last penny. Did put a few upgrades on a few units. I can't really show you which ones are upgraded, because, yeah, but I basically managed to make sure to squeeze every last penny out of the nice generous funds I'd given myself. Now, as for the Thracians, well, they have a bit of a different build. Their front line was made out of Folksmen, quite weak barbarian units, but they still have quite a high attack, and I do think they have a bonus against armour as well. I'm not entirely sure on that one. Never used Folksmen myself, really. Then the main body of his army are made out of fanatical bastarnae infantry. Heavy infantry, quite heavy hitters, and, well, they don't rout very easily. So these guys are heavy hitters, so not the most well armoured, but they can do a lot of damage if they get in the right places. And then his rear was basically plenty of Phalanx Pikes. I think that's probably the best pike the Thracians can get, so obviously I had out-technologied him a little bit, but he also brought himself plenty of mercenary peltasts / Illyrian mercenaries ready to just go and start make my life a little bit more hellish with their javelins. He'd also opted to bring an onager to this one, but he didn't bring a lot of cavalry support. He only really had a general's bodyguard, which is this guy here. Armoured bodyguard though, so it wasn't going to die easily, but still. I clearly had a few advantages here, but he also had his advantages. He had an army that could hit heavier, I had an army that could move better. But let's put this one on play, and let's see who was the victor in this battle in the desert. So really, it always starts off with the initial us staring at each other's armies, but we're already making our moves. I began moving my onager forward. I decided I wanted to go aggressive before I basically got slammed in the face by lots of enemies. But I was also very, very wary of potentially. I didn't really have the most defensive army in the world. I did have pikes, but I'd spread my pikes out very far, mainly because I wanted to be wary of routing and flanking. So that's why I decided to go to the aggressive front. I have launched my first 3 onagers. Got a lovely hit right in the middle of the enemy army. Only got 1 kill though somehow, but since this army is nicely tightly packed together, I was just in an area where I could just get as many kills as I wanted right now. The enemy did decide to move his onager forward, but for some reason he's bringing it around the side. I'm guessing it's because he isn't in range and he can't really move through his own men. But I was just chucking in more and more balls as fast as I could. He's trying to retreat his men, but what he's also doing, he's packing them a bit tighter, which was, if a rock lands there, then that's the end of the world for him. But just to keep the pressure up, I have my front line of silver shields just coming in. Pikes are just going around the side, and I have my militia cavalry. I was sending them around to here to try and clip the wings of that artillery. Stop it from doing anything nasty. So I've got my, well, these aren't my Folksmen, but the Folksmen still start going. I opted for fire shots at this point as well, because I thought, right, I might as well just go for it full on. Try and break as much morale as possible. But the enemy decides to just throw his infantry in as fast as possible, knowing that I wouldn't probably risk hitting my own men with artillery. Didn't quite work for all units. The Folksmen broke very quickly. I landed a and then the general got sniped. Yeah, that happened.
It is time to press the attack.
Yeah, that didn't. That just put the already disadvantaged enemy at an even worse disadvantage here. But the bastarnae, they had just fanatically thrown themselves in. Their morale wasn't really coping too well, but they were getting kills. They were starting to carve a line through my silver shields. I think his onagers at this point were also starting to fire on me. But obviously, he had a high chance of hitting his own men. I'd put my silver shields into a phalanx formation at this point as well. So I was bringing them forward, trying to put pressure on that onager. He charged his bastarnae forward for really charging bastarnae directly at a line of silver shield phalanxes. Yes, you know what's going to happen, and you know why it's not really a good idea. His bastarnae were trying to get hits. Some of them did manage to sneak around the flanks, but either way, their morale was just absolutely shedding. So I knew I'd had this one sorted. This engagement was just becoming prolonged. I was beginning to lose. Well, yeah, I was losing here. Artillery was continuing to pound both of us. Mainly his artillery though. My artillery was just being generally inaccurate. But I think I did decide to switch it to hit those phalanxes because I didn't want to try and hit this engagement here. But some of my legionaries did begin to break. Not all of them were holding. So it was just beginning to go wrong. A little bit of a chain route going on for mine. There goes another one. This one, it was just the last one left. They were shaken. So I guess it does show that bastarnae are still quite good, you know. These guys are heavy hitters. But what I did have was I had plenty of pikes on their flank. But obviously the enemy had spotted what I was doing. So I sent one forward to deal with him. And then the other one forward to deal with him. Because I had my big nuclear bomb hiding in the back of the map. I had my cataphracts ready to do their thing. Managed to plough through the first unit of bastarnae. Didn't manage to take all their morale out instantly, but as you can see, it's already dropping down to shaken, so they're not going to last very long. Other bastarnae were getting shredded by my other cataphracts. I was just going to pull my cataphracts in as fast as I could. Had my onagers trying to hit the rear line, starting to take out the Illyrians. His general was just still stood over there, well, mourning their dead, burnt, sniped general. And I was just, well, my cataphracts were now just having fun, cleaning up what the legionaries could not, but I was going to make sure to keep them away from the levy phalanx, or at least the phalanx pikes. But I knew my silver shields would win this battle. It was a pretty simple case of outranking. Some of my cataphracts did get a little distracted and charge in though, which was a bit silly of them. Had to pull them out quickly before they started killing themselves. My Greek cavalry were also running around. Well, these were my militia cavalry actually. They just got absolutely shredded by the Illyrians though, before they could really do a lot of damage, so didn't really use them too effectively, but I guess they tried. But over here, some of his Illyrians were already running out of ammo because, well, I did already pack a lot of ammo anyway. So he's just bringing them in, trying to hit what he can, while my cataphracts just run around and cause chaos. Bringing in the rest of my silver shields though, just trying to clean up this enemy, but as you can see, you can definitely tell where the main conflict happened. There goes another unit of bastarnae there. Cataphracts went right in, not the most impressive charge in the world this time around. I thought just have him hit him with the lances. Could have switched to the armor-piercing maces, of course, but since these guys barely wear any armor, it doesn't really make the most sense in the world. My Greek cavalry, they were moving around. I was still trying to find a way to those onagers, which I'd already disabled, but there was still a fair portion of the enemy army here. But what I had done was I'd managed to get one of my silver shields around the flank while these guys were tied up. These silver shields were just about done for though. While their morale had held up absolutely wonderfully, they were still attacking the phalanx from the front, so yeah, their numbers were dropping. I had my guys try to go around the flank by the way, but for some reason they were being very, very disorganized, not quite following orders, and they really needed to pick up and follow orders right now, because my other guys had routed and I wasn't really willing to throw my cataphracts into there. My cataphracts were very willing though to go and finish off those Illyrian mercenaries. The enemy decided to go whole hog and just throw whatever he had left into the battle. Brought the last of his phalanx pikes towards my other 2 units of silver shields, which I'd kept in reserve. Some of my others had come back as well. As you can see, that bastarnae charge wasn't going to end very well though. They charged right into a spear wall again, and they were just all dying. They're already wavering. They were not going to last, damn it. There we go. All died in my lovely big piano line of spears. Phalanx pikesmen were coming forward though. I thought once more, well, they're phalanx pikes, I should win. I also managed to peel some of my cavalry around. I was going to try and hit the phalanxes in the back. While it was going to cost me some of my cataphracts, it should still pay off. with just the fact it would absolutely shred the enemy morale if I managed to just pull off a nice accurate charge. Peeling them around and just went right into their back. Broke their morale instantly. Absolutely worth every dead cataphract that was in there, which was about, well, I don't know, one of them died, so yeah. Worth it though, absolutely worth it. Just broke that unit, stopped a prolonged engagement. Other guys were coming in, my artillery started firing again, was trying to just pin down these last guys because these Silver Shield pikemen here had just basically given up following orders, so they were just getting attacked, and yeah. But that was their fault for not following my orders. Still had some more pikemen just hanging around. Needed to just start cleaning up what was left of the enemy army. So I thought I'd bring my Phalanx pikemen, which I had kept for defending the artillery. I was bringing them around. It's going to flank, just basically create some sort of right angle triangle, close the gap, surround and kill. Cataphracts were just going around looking for their next target now. Still have a few units over here to deal with. A few of the Folksmen had actually come back into the battle. General's bodyguard though, I'd already thrown some other cavalry at, and I'd managed to basically wipe him out. I mean, the general was already dead anyway, his charred corpse was somewhere. But my cataphracts were actually faring very well against the general's bodyguard, even though I had put them into armor piercing mode. Did manage to break him eventually, but as you can see, there were probably too many cataphract losses there to be justified for that little move. All that was left for me now was to turn these guys around, finish off the job, while the enemy just decided to once more go for his last ditch attack. Bringing in everything he had, trying to get around my flanks still, but I was going to just make sure I was watching my flanks. While my Phalanx pikemen were busy over there, I'd have to turn these guys around, bringing these guys forward, just having to create a whole new battle line. Still had some my general's bodyguard in reserve as well, hadn't really used him yet, but I don't think I bothered anyway. It just wasn't really worth using in a battle. Artillery was doing the best it could to try and hit those phalanxes, but as you can see, it just wasn't really working. So I guess really my artillery didn't really play the best part in this battle. It did get plenty of kills. You can see the charred corpses of where I was hitting, but I think the only major thing my artillery did was actually just somehow sniping out a general's bodyguard and then nearly wiping out my own guys from the rear. But as you can see, 2 units were coming in. One of my units hadn't really moved because it was too busy being engaged. I turned these guys around though, noticing the imminent danger. Brought them forward as quick as I could. I knew these guys were only phalanxes, and then probably weren't going to fare the best, but I still had some silver shields right on the flanks, so my jaws were closing. Had him in a pincer move, and yeah, that was just pretty much a solid victory there for me. Cavalry was just busy chasing down the stragglers. Last of my cataphracts, well, I still have plenty of cataphracts left anyway, but I had another big unit of cataphracts just coming in, saw this rear line, nice and open, ready to be charged. So as you can see, you could just see their inevitable doom just making their way over. Some of the guys had routed, but just got him right into the back, sent a guy flying, pushed into his formation, and broke them again. At this point, I think there was not an enemy left for me to kill, apart from the last ones over there who hadn't routed yet. There was some of the Illyrian mercenaries. They were just giving some of my cavalry to run around. But apart from that, last of his phalanxes are broken. My superior phalanxes had overcome in this day. But I could have probably been a little bit more alert, could have been a little bit faster when reacting to the enemy movements, but well, then again, why am I beating myself up? This was, at the end of the day, a clear victory for me. I managed to beat the enemy, take out his general quite early, and, well, just used my tactics. Bit was maneuverable. Enemy did try to scatter out, but I managed to just keep on top of it, kept my cool, didn't panic. And then when it came to it, used my cataphracts in the correct places just to absolutely clean house with the enemy. And that was it.
Heroic victory, worthy of Greek soldiers.
The enemy admitted defeat at this point. He only had 1 unit left anyway, but victory went to me. So clear victory to me. As you can see, yeah, but it was still pretty close though. I only beat the enemy by about, well, you know, about 500 kills or so. But I brought in nearly 3,000 kills, so I thought, well, you know what, I am very happy with that performance. And I still had 1,000 more men left over than the enemy, so yeah, things went very well. And I think the enemy did also cause a lot of friendly fire, which is why his kill number was so high, because I think he was hitting his own men quite hard with his artillery. But as you can see, General's bodyguard didn't even see anything in this battle. But some units did absolutely brilliant. The best standout player really was one of the Silver Shield pikemen, bringing in 399 kills. That was one of my reserve pikes towards the end of the battle. Cataphracts, well, they were averaging nearly 300 kills each. As you can see, if you do some maths, you'd probably get something around a figure of 300. So, once more, fantastic performance from them. And the best thing to do with cataphracts is, while they're not the most manoeuvrable cavalry, do try to manoeuvre them. Get them in the backs of units, get them in against hard hitters, just move them around, keep harassing, just keep striking wherever you can, and the enemy just won't be able to do a thing to stop you. Overall, pikemen had done very strongly though. Phalanx pikes, yeah, they'd got some action. My Silver Shield Legionaries, yeah, they managed to bring in a fair few kills. Obviously, they were just supposed to be expendable frontline unit, but yeah, they still had their part to play, and I still think they played their part well. And it kind of showed me that bastarnae and a write-off unit after all, because I'd always thought they were just weak barbarian units, but I saw there that bastarnae were clearly capable of beating Silver Shields, so there's a little bit more to them than meets the eye. But at the end of the day, victory for me, happy about that. And well, that's another battle done. So I'll see you on the next battle, my friends, which is another 1v1. See you there, folks.